CEO of Oryx Desert Salt. I'm very excited to be here. This is something for me to try out. Samantha, thank you so much for joining us.
It's such a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And what a beautiful backdrop to be doing this.
It's not. Good choice.
Thanks, Sam. So I guess today we're just trying to understand a little bit more the story of Oryx Desert Salt. I know you probably feel nauseated having to tell it again, but
I enjoy telling it.
no, there we go. It's an interesting story. So, I mean, your journey into leadership actually started quite early on, as far as I could gather. I mean, from 19, you were leading a team. 13, your father's aircraft interior.
Yeah, doing private and corporate jets.
Well, there we go. So, I mean, what from that time kind of laid the foundation and continues to influence the way that you approach leadership, being so young with such a responsibility?
I remember there was I got a consultant into the business to kind of help me structure things to motivate the team to kind of find some cohesion, and then I suppose when I set up my NGO 20,000 drums and had the vision to workshop children across the country, that to me is more of the aspect or the time period that really sparked my desire and joy of making a difference. And being able to, just somehow positively influence some people's lives that, and it, sometimes I feel a little bit arrogant, whether that's, is that my, should I be thinking that? But I also know that, generally lives are hard, and some people who, and my community, my staff that are come out of Ottery and Lavender Hill and places, they actually live in a war zone. So I remember the one day they arrived and there had been these gangster shootings, and I'd arranged a friend to come do a dance. And they were all quite traumatized. And after having 3 beautiful dances together, they all felt a whole lot better.
So the dancing isn't what traumatized them.
Definitely not. We love dancing.
Do you think there was anything that you took from your father's leadership style back then? I mean,
no, my dad did not lead.
Okay.
No. My dad threw me in the deep end, and it was like sink or swim. But yeah, I guess I was young and enthusiastic and naive, as I was with Oryx Desert Salt as well. And that's often a good strategy, actually.
Yeah, there's no learned behavior from before, exactly. It's a blank canvas, I suppose.
Exactly.
So, I mean, at the actual founding of Oryx Desert Salt, it's my understanding you pretty much gave up everything to pursue the dream. 34,000 tons of salt. I mean,
not 34,000, but 34 tons. 34,000 kilograms.
So tell me a little bit more about that. That whole situation, the leap that you took. I mean, it takes a lot of bravery.
Yeah. So again, it seems that I'm not so strategic in a way, and I do things very spontaneously. So there had been floods up on the salt pan. And I was buying from a colleague at the time, and he was like, you must buy buffer stock. And I knew that I was 100% committed. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I can't run out of salt. So I bought 34 tons. I sold my house and bought 34 tons. I mean, I needed to sell my house as well because I needed to live off the proceeds for a year. And then I realized I was running out of funds. And so ended up getting my first investor after 2 years.
Well, I mean, a commitment like that, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally.
So, I mean, after having given up the house, having to find a place to store 34 tons of salt.
It was one of those storage land garages, where you stash your furniture and your like extra belongings. That was totally packed, left to right wall and up to the ceiling.
Well, it worked out in the end, right?
Certainly did.
So with a product like salt, and I mean today's focus on environmental responsibility and social responsibility. How would you say you differentiate yourself just from those who would try to profit just from green labeling? Everything is reusable, recyclable these days.
So I think, I mean, from my NGO and that drumming project, it was important that I was considering others. And I also know that this is the land where the Khoisan and the first people of the Kalahari used to roam freely before they put fences. And, us superior whiteys claimed the land. And so from the very beginning, it felt important to me to give back. So I actually wanted the business to be a fair trade company. But it isn't my land, so that wasn't my decision. And so the next best thing that I could do was to give a donation back to, and I donated to the Transfrontier Parks Destination Foundation, because they work closely with the Kaus and Kaus Lodge, which is the Kamani San and the Mere communities. And that just felt within integrity for me. Here I was taking salt from this beautiful land that once would have been theirs, and not that Bushmen and San communities ever own land. But yeah, that just felt the right thing to do. And I suppose that idea or concepts just continued to infuse into the business. The fact that the salt comes from a renewable, sustainable source, this ancient underground salt lake, which is so beautiful. So I'm not depleting a resource. So that again kind of, sparked and fueled, oh, wow, that's sustainable. And then I came across these grinder heads that have a ceramic mechanism that you buy once and then you just keep refilling and refilling. And I was like, well, that works. Didn't consider the fact that I'm telling people to not buy my grinders at the time. And what's lovely now is that we really use that story, is don't buy our grinders, because the idea that last year we saved 816,900 bottles and grinders from landfill, that's made a real impact, where that 20-foot containers aren't sitting in landfill.
Puts it in perspective.
Absolutely. So yeah, so it all just works together. I guess I've been on a health journey for many years, and I like to think that I have a light footprint, and consider, there are no chemicals in my home that are harmful to me. I kind of went off those 10 years ago, checked the moisturizer and shampoo and even dishwashing liquid and all of those. So just slowly, I'm just very aware of the impact that each one of us has, either negatively or positively.
Well, definitely having a positive impact there. So let's talk about the actual harvesting of the salt and the beautiful underground lake that you're telling me about.
Yes.
So what kind of techniques and processes do you use in the actual harvesting to, as you say, leave a light footprint and actually continue to allow that resource to be there for future generations?
So it's quite fascinating that under the continents are these rivers and these aquifers that flow. So this particular region is very dense in sodium chloride salt. It's a bit like Northern Joburg has veins of gold or veins of platinum. So there is this region, and you can see it from our salt pans are south of the Makadikari pans. So for some reason, weird reason, I'm not sure, maybe it was an ancient ocean millions of years ago, and the salt got kind of condensed there. So there is this 55 million ton underground salt lake, and they've did testing to see if it was a renewable resource, and discovered 3 subterranean rivers that flow 30 and 100 meters underground, and they're flowing through this ancient rock strata. So it picks up all the minerals and the trace elements from the earth, which is where all of our minerals come from. So all of our carrots and our spinach, it's in feeding the soil that our vegetables are healthy and quality. And then what's fascinating is that this brine water is oversaturated. And so when we draw it up onto the pan in summer, when its temperatures are 45 or up to 50 degrees, then it crystallizes in only 4 weeks. So in one lunar cycle. Which is quite unheard of in the whole salt industry. I've had many conversations at my international trade shows. The only other source that I know of that is oversaturated would be the Dead Sea. So sea salt, for example, is 13 to 20% saturation. So they've got to then build up the saturation before it can start crystallizing. So it's just a really special, unique, and beautiful sauce.
It is beautiful. And so no matter how fast you try to take it out, it just keeps replenishing, actually. I mean, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And taking, I mean, such a humble story of a river aquifer all the way to the international market. I mean, you've got the South African brand now that is, I mean, it's almost a household name across the world.
That's where it's going. It's not quite there. It's not quite there yet.
So how have you managed to maintain that authenticity as you roll out to these new markets and, you know, experience these new cultures and little quirks and still maintain that authenticity?
I mean, I guess the fact that the product is simple. I mean, it's the oldest traded commodity in the world, and the salt isn't processed or refined, so that continues to maintain and keep its integrity. The bottles and the grinder heads with ceramic. So there's not too much that I can do to change the core essence and the values of the product. So we've been in the USA for 4 years, and it's interesting because they speak English, but they're different. It's like another species, you know. So I'm still getting to know, kind of understanding the market. Prior to launching, I had heard of Whole Foods at least 3 or 4 years beforehand, and it became the holy grail for me of a supermarket that I really wanted to get into. And so then COVID happened, which was a blessing because I lost 60% of sales, or we did, and the turnover slid down 4 years. But it meant that I needed to step back and I needed to focus on what was going to make a difference. So our turnover slid back 4 years. But it then gave me the opportunity to step back and to focus on the business and not be involved in the business. And what the question was, what can I do in order to get us out of this hole, to kind of, save the business? Well, if we're going to save the business, let's scale it at the same time, And so I'd fortunately networked up the previous year, and I had got the email address of the buyer. And so I just slowly followed up and followed up and followed up until eventually he wrote back.
Wore him down in the end.
I did. It was also, I do love the serendipity and the synchronicity and the timing of things that has happened along the way. And it definitely felt like right time, right buyer, right moment. He was a particularly beautiful buyer. Every time I spoke to him, I was like, I give you Global Buyer of the Year award, Chris, because he responded to every email, and he was just responsive, actually, within 24 hours. And because he was the salt buyer of Whole Foods, I'm guessing he, and he was just a humble person. He wasn't one of the buyers that had a lot of ego. And so he really listened to the story and the brand. And so he was able to make that decision. Okay, this needs to be on Whole Foods shelves.
Have you experienced any difficulties with the trade wars going on at the moment, or have you managed to actually kind of maintain the momentum as before?
So the trade wars in terms
Trump.
Of the 30%, yeah, that one, Mr. T. Mr. T and his T's, his tariffs. So it was obviously disappointing when it came in, but it also felt like, this is what I'm doing. This isn't going to change my passion for the product, my vision for creating a global brand. So this is a blip in the journey. This is a rock that we now need to navigate or something. It has definitely taken some of the profit. But as far as I know, the tariffs have dissipated, have been cut.
I believe AGOA is back in force. It's kind of questionable about South Africa. But,
All right. So I know pepper definitely has no tariffs, and pepper is a higher value product than the salt is. So that's already a bonus.
Okay.
And there's absolutely no reason why the salt wouldn't fall into that as well. So
if you could navigate COVID and a 40% reduction, I'm sure a tariff here or there wouldn't get the best of you.
Not in the long run anyways.
No. And I mean, as you said, your father threw you in the deep end,
Yeah.
and here we go again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, having gone through what you've gone through and learned from the pitfalls, and celebrated the successes and overcame the tribulations, what would you say are some of the key lessons that you could impart on fellow potential entrepreneurs out there, especially in the South African context? And I think given not the focus on it, but around a female South African too, because that comes with its own set of challenges, especially in the business world. I think it would be incredible to get some insight on that.
Okay, thanks. So I guess from the very beginning, I knew that I wanted to build a global brand. For some weird reason, I just like to think big. Even when friends come to me to share an idea, immediately I think, can we scale this? It can't just stay as like a kitchen project. So really knowing where it is that you want to go, that having your vision very clear makes all the difference in the tough times, because it's like what you reach for the stars and then you get to the moon type of thing. So if you keep, and also the other metaphor that we've all heard, but is if you're on a ship and your course is 1 degree off, you're not going to get to the next continent. You're going to end up down in the Antarctic or something. So it is just keep redefining and realigning and holding the vision true. And that allows one to bring the people in that you need and get the experience that one needs. So when you know where you want to go, then everything kind of aligns towards that. And for me also, providence and God, if you don't know what you want, then how can you
explain it to someone else? How can you get others to
buy in? Exactly. That too.
And I suppose when times are tough, that goal at the end of the day becomes a light in the dark that kind of keeps you on course.
Absolutely, it does.
So with that in mind, what does the future hold for Oryx Desert Salt?
So the next few years is definitely just holding my intention set on really expanding in the USA, and at the same time UK and Europe's coming on board, and I believe China will be coming on board next year as well. So getting my team really strong for the growth for the next sort of quarter, and and all the seeds that I've been planting over the last couple of years is watching them come to fruition. So a whole lot more retailers in the USA, and definitely some airlines is the plan.
Back to your roots. I mean, back to the airline industry. You see,
I hadn't thought about that.
Full circle. I mean.
That's true.
Samantha, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. This has been an interview of The Good Interview, and and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Dan, you can stop that.